Okay, right, I'm recording the audio for this for the second time, so if it doesn't quite sync up, it's because the audio didn't work on when I was recording the screen. Anyway, this is a tutorial on how to create a tilt shift effect in Photoshop. Now, tilt shift lenses are really expensive. They cost around about £5 if you buy a Canon one. Okay, so we start by duplicating the layer. Okay, the background layer, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a focal blur on the top layer, and then we're going to create a mask to show through the bottom layer, so we kind of create this kind of like blurring effect with a gradient blur, and it makes it look like a sort of little model village type thing. Okay, so now we go to filter, blur, and then to Gaussian blur. Okay, and this is what's going to blur the top layer. Okay, so the little slider at the bottom is how you increase and decrease the amount of blur. As you can see, it actually does it in real time. It's a bit slow. My computer's running a bit slow because I'm recording at the same time. It doesn't really like it very much. Anyway, so we set it to about 8. That's about right, and then click OK. So we've just got enough of a blur. Okay, so now we've got two layers. We've got one on top of the blurred one on top, and the not blurred one on the bottom, the ordinary black background layer. And we're going to create a mask now, so we show through part of the background layer. Okay, so if you can hit the layer mask bottom, add vector mask at the bottom, and it creates a little black white square next to the layer, and the palette will go black and white because that's the only two colours you use. Okay, so when you paint black onto the screen, that deletes the image. That part of the image. It almost like paints a hole in the image. That's what layer masks are. They're like painting holes. They used to be called alpha channels, but now they're called layer mask. Okay, so if you notice that if I paint on the surface, okay, I'll set it to black. Okay, so if I paint across the surface of the image, okay, and a little black line will appear within the background. You can see, and you can actually see the non-blurred images starting to show through from underneath. Okay, so that's the basics of a layer mask. Anyway. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to use a gradient which is much more sort of graduated and nicer and slick. Okay, so I've created a custom gradient in the gradient editor where I've just got a black line in the middle and white on either side, and you can click and you can save custom masks, as many as you like, in here. Okay, and then click OK. Okay, well now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this little line across the image, and you can see it paints the gradient across the image inside the mask. You've got to make sure you have the white mask, the box selected when you're doing this. So you need to just drag it around. Each time you drag it, it just redraws the whole thing again, so it doesn't layer on top of each other. So that's about right. So you can see now that I've got the underside. I've got the background layer showing through, and there's a gradiated mask which kind of creates this effect now, which is like, it almost looks like a little bit sort of like a model village. It's sort of miniaturization. It's quite effective. So that's basically an introduction into a layer mask and how they're created. I'll go further into what else you can do with them, and I'll talk about the difference between destructive editing and non-destructive editing. I'll do another tutorial for that. But if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a message. Okay, thank you.